Welcome to Who Are You, the Bobcats You Know, the Stories You Don't. I'm your host, Joel Vanner, inside the podcast studio at Quinnipiac University's School of Communications. And I am joined for today's episode by Erin Sabato, the Senior Director of Global Learning. Erin, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, Erin, we know your name, but I'm sure you could guess by the name of the program what my first question to you is going to be, and that is, who are you?
Thanks, Joel. So I'm Erin Sabato, and as you said, I am the Senior Director of Global Learning in the Office of Global Engagement. I'm also a proud Quinnipiac alum, so I've been here for a number of years. And really, my role at the university is to create opportunities for students to go abroad in a number of different ways.
So you had a homecoming, you studied at Quinnipiac, and you came back. But before we get to that and what you do now in your role, tell me how you came to Quinnipiac for your undergraduate studies.
Yeah. Well, it's really funny because when people find out what I do, they assume that my whole life has been one of traveling. But I actually didn't even have a passport until I came to Quinnipiac. I was somebody that as a young kid, I was always really curious. I loved learning about people. I was a big reader and I was a big writer, but we didn't travel much as a family. We took vacations, but we really stuck around the East Coast. And so I came to Quinnipiac to study journalism. And when I was the end of my freshman year, I found out about an opportunity to go abroad to Ireland, and I immediately took it. And really, that's where my life kind of began when I had that first opportunity to go abroad.
Was that nerve-wracking for you? You have to get your passport and all that situated, and a couple months later, right?
I think
have
so.
your trip.
But, when you're that young, you kind of don't know what you don't know. And so I was just excited to kind of leap into this opportunity. So yes, I had to get a passport. I had to sign up for classes. I had to book a plane ticket. And really, I just kind of went for it and landed on the ground in Ireland. And that's really kind of where the world began to open up for me in completely new ways.
And you had two more study abroad experiences. So you really caught on after that. Where were your other experiences?
Yeah, I did. And, they say it's cliche, but it's 100% true that kind of once you have these opportunities, you just want more. And that's why I'm so grateful that I'm able to provide these types of experiences for our students now in my current role. But as an undergraduate, I also went to Cape Town, South Africa, and then I went to León, Nicaragua. So I had very different and unique experiences, a full semester abroad in Ireland, J-term or a January program in South Africa.
And then that would be shortened.
Yeah, exactly. The J-term program was about 3 weeks. And then the spring break program in Nicaragua. So all very different lengths of time, different goals, different locations, of course, and really, truly unique experiences.
And those experiences opened up your world for postgraduate.
Yeah.
After you graduated Quinnipiac, you worked internationally, right?
Yeah, I did. So as an undergrad, as I said, I was studying journalism, but I was also a Spanish minor. And, being able to speak Spanish and kind of work and live and move in Spanish-speaking countries like Nicaragua kind of really opened up a whole world of opportunities for me. So I spent the week as an undergrad in León. And as I was there, I was thinking, how can I do more of this? How can I continue to learn in this way, in this type of environment, in this type of community? So I decided to graduate early. And I finished my undergrad in December, about a semester early, and then moved back to Nicaragua, to the city, the community where I'd spent that spring break. And I spent a few months there teaching English in the school that Quinnipiac had a long-standing partnership with. And then while I was in Nicaragua, decided to apply to graduate school in Costa Rica. So I was able to continue learning and living in Central America, continuing to apply my language skills while also getting a master's degree.
And it was that one study abroad, that first study abroad experience in Ireland that really opened up your world to all of those other experiences you've had.
It really was. It taught me to be curious in a different way. It taught me more independence, kind of resilience. I challenged myself in so many new ways. I traveled by myself. I was able to interact with people that I otherwise never would have had the chance to. So yes, I completely credit that first semester abroad. It was my second year, so I went a little bit early. It was my sophomore year, fall semester. And that was really kind of the springboard that has led me to where I am today.
And for you personally, how did those experiences enhance at that time what you were learning in the classroom as part of your program?
Mm-hmm. So in Ireland at the time, we had a really unique opportunity to study 4 days a week and then go on field trips, for kind of lack of a better term, on Fridays. So we were able to, experience and visit the locations that we were studying that week. And so that really kind of made it more real. We were able to visit the locations that we were learning about. We were able to go to museums and see kind of just firsthand what we were learning about in the classroom. And the unique thing about that program, too, as I think many study abroad, locations and sites offer, is that it was taught by Irish faculty. So I had those perspectives from experts
Authentic.
from the community and from the country where I was living.
So after your graduate studies in Costa Rica, some time at a nonprofit, you actually returned to Connecticut, and you came back to Quinnipiac in 2008.
Yes, exactly.
What was your experience coming back to Quinnipiac like? And what role did you come back in?
Yeah, so I actually came back. I was hired to be the program director at the Albert Schweitzer Institute. So it was really a full circle moment for me. I was hired to run the programs that I had participated in as an undergraduate. And as I mentioned, after being in Nicaragua for a spring break trip, I decided to, kind of really change my trajectory and graduate early and move down there and live alongside the community partners that had been facilitating these student programs for us. And so then I was on kind of the other side of it, where I was now the one working with the community partners to facilitate programs and to create opportunities for students. So, the program that literally changed my life and has, had such a huge impact on me personally and professionally, I was now able to kind of facilitate those opportunities for students.
That's an awesome full circle moment there.
Yeah, yeah.
And today, through your office and your work, Quinnipiac offers a number of abroad opportunities in all different sizes. Tell me a little bit about the opportunities that are available to our students today.
Yeah. So we know that going abroad is so important. And we truly believe that any student that wants to go abroad should have the opportunity to do so. But we know that there are a number of factors that students and their families have to consider when making that decision, because it is a big decision. I remember having those conversations with my parents and saying, I want to go abroad for a semester. And, they themselves didn't have passports, so they were a little nervous. And it really wasn't until my dad and my mom came to visit me in some of the countries that I was living in where they were like, okay, we see you're in your element. We know this is a good thing. But sometimes that's scary. It's new for families. So we create programs that, can be 8 days all the way up to a full semester or a year. Because as I said, we know there are so many different factors that go into that decision. So I personally oversee what we call faculty-led programs. And those are Quinnipiac courses that typically range between 8 days to up to 3 weeks that are led and taught by Quinnipiac faculty. So usually the students are enrolled in a course during the semester, either the fall or the spring, sometimes the summer. And then as a part of that course, as part of that class that they're taking here, they go abroad with their faculty, a chaperone, and their classmates. And the travel component complements what they're learning or what they have learned in the classroom during the semester. But then we also have programs that are over the winter break for a whole summer. Students can intern for a summer abroad. And of course, they can spend a semester or a year studying and learning at a university overseas.
And those are across all disciplines and all 9 schools.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. We have programs for every student. We have students that are sometimes in the spring semester of their first year traveling with us, but then we have graduate students traveling with us. So, we really do have a range of programs, a range of disciplines, as I said already, length of time, location. So yes, there really are opportunities for everybody.
What's an example of a faculty-led experience that students could have?
Yeah, so of course I'm going to talk about the one that I teach. So for the last 5 years, I have taught a course in the School of Education, although it's open to students outside of the School of Education as well. And it focuses on Guatemala. So we spend the first half of the semester, the spring semester, learning about the history of Guatemala. We talk to different organizations that are doing a number of things related to education, of course, but also healthcare, environmental policy, agriculture. And the students learn about the country and the communities that we're going to be visiting. And then we travel to Guatemala for 10 days over spring break. And they're taking the knowledge that they've learned for the first half of the semester and applying it to the experience. And then we come back and we spend the second half of the semester kind of unpacking and processing what we learned. And the students complete a project that they then present to the Quinnipiac community. So that's just one example of the 25 plus faculty-led courses that we offer each year. That one is particularly meaningful to me, not only because I teach it, but also because Quinnipiac has a nearly 2-decade-long partnership with Guatemala. Ever since I was hired in 2008, as we already mentioned, I've been taking students to Guatemala. This academic year alone, I was in Guatemala 4 different times on 4 different programs. So it's really interesting to take students in psychology or anthropology, journalism, physical therapy, education, of course, political science to Guatemala to work alongside incredible community partners, but for a range of different disciplines.
And not only, since that course is open for anyone to enroll, are the students getting that international experience, but they're also learning with their peers who come from those other disciplines and backgrounds too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of our goals with faculty-led courses. Of course, each class has a focus. It has a particular disciplinary focus, but we really do encourage students from outside those majors to apply. You can be a physical therapy student and take an anthropology class in Morocco. You can be a business student and take a political science course in Guatemala. And so we really do encourage students to not only go outside of their major in that way, but as you say, they're then learning from their peers and they're learning, alongside their classmates in a new way.
Roughly how many students choose to have some sort of study abroad experience?
So we have about 500 students each year that participate, whether it is the full semester, the faculty-led, or a winter or a summer program. And that includes students that are interning abroad as well.
What advice would you give to prospective or current students who are listening who may be interested in learning more about all the opportunities available to them?
So our advice is always plan early. It's never too early to start asking questions. It's never too early to really start doing research about all of the different programs. It sneaks up on you. And we really want students to start planning early because it does take time. It takes about a year, from when you're initially inquiring about the programs to when you're then going abroad. And so nothing in our office, nothing it's really hard when we hear students say, I didn't know that this was for me. I didn't know that this was something I could do. And so we say, plan early. Come to our office. We have office hours. We have information sessions. We have student advisors that will tell you about their own experience. And so our advice is always plan early, because even if you don't think it's for you, or you're not sure it's for you, or your family is nervous, or you think, I don't have the space in my program, just come and talk to us, because as we've been saying, there are so many different ways that students could go abroad.
And having those student advisors too, I would imagine that's great for those who may come to college without a passport, may not have that international experience, being able to connect with that student advisor to see if the program is right for them.
Absolutely. I mean, some of our biggest advocates, some of our biggest cheerleaders are students that had never even been on a plane before. They came to Quinnipiac, and this was really the first time that they even considered doing something like this, traveling in any capacity. And so I think that, yes, I can speak at an information session, I can talk to students, but having that peer-to-peer interaction is really meaningful. And so we're really grateful that we do have so many enthusiastic students that are just really excited to talk to prospective students and talk to, students that are looking and seeking these opportunities as well.
And I know you've mentioned this kind of throughout the episode so far, but when students come back from a study abroad experience, how have they changed? What do you see different about them that you didn't see before they had that experience?
There's so many ways that students can change. I think students are more confident. They have had an experience where they've really had to put themselves out there. Oftentimes our students are traveling with people they don't know. So that in itself is something new. Oftentimes students are only used to traveling with family members or friends or people that, they're really comfortable with. And so when you travel either for a full semester or even on a short-term program, you're traveling with, essentially a group of strangers that then become great friends and become, a very close group of people to you. But I think students are more confident. They're more curious. They want to continue learning. And I would say one of the more specific kind of changes that I've seen in students is related to language. As I've said, a lot of the places I travel to are in Central and South America. So obviously these are Spanish-speaking countries, and students come back and they say, oh my gosh, I want to go back and study Spanish. I want to go back and study language because I want to be able to communicate better. I want to be able to, have more in-depth conversations. So I think students are just coming back more often than not with more questions than they left with. And for us as an educator, that's amazing because we want students to keep asking questions forever.
And we are all citizens of the same world, so there's no better time than college to have those experiences with everything else new that's going on.
Absolutely. We do, before every group departs, we always do a pre-departure session with the students and the faculty, and we talk about, really important things related to safety and security, of course. But at the very end of every session, I always say to our students, one, I thank them. I thank them for kind of taking this leap and for being open to these opportunities, because I know that for many students, this is so new. But then I also say, you will never have this opportunity again. You may in your future travel to France, or you may go back to Portugal, or you may go back to Japan, but you will never have this unique opportunity as a college student to travel with this group of people, with this faculty expert, with this itinerary in this moment of time.
And the expertise and guidance that the office provides with that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just so special because, students they kind of get the bug and then they want to keep going. But this kind of one slice of time where they're traveling, on this particular program or for this particular semester, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so I really want them to take that in and to be present and to just really try to, absorb everything that they possibly can.
Well, Erin, thank you for joining me on the show, taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm sure there's a lot of travels coming up for you, sharing your insight on study abroad experiences here at Quinnipiac for students.
Thanks so much, Joel. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe and find other episodes of Who Are You on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube podcasts. Until next time, when I ask my next guest, who are you? I'm Joel Vanner. Bye for now.